directive to Securities and Exchange Commission to revoke licenses of fund management companies for fear that customer agitations could make government unpopular.
And as government exhibits its achievement at the results fair, Monitoring and Evaluation Minister concedes one flagship program, one district, one factory, is impossible to achieve in 4 years.
But it's not every promise that public expects that will complete in 4 years. There's no way you can complete every factory in one constituency in 4 years.
That is deceiving the public.
No, we did not deceive the public.
We have details of that interview coming up on PM Express. Also, National Labour Commission secures court order to compel striking tertiary university teachers and senior administrators to go back to the classroom.
Teachers were supposed to go back to the classroom and they agreed only to go and declare that they were not going to teach. So the only option for the National Labour Commission was by going to the High Court, presided over by Justice Doreen Boachi Adi, granted the injunction.
Immediate past CID boss Mami Tiwa Adodankwa speaks about her regrets during her tenure in office.
Being at the CID, I didn't actually make conscious effort to do better. I thought I was doing my job. If I have the opportunity to correct something, what I would have done is our communication to the public.
And in business, economist Professor Babuate charges ECOWAS central bank governors to tread cautiously over the introduction of the single common currency, the ECO.
And later in sports, former Black Stars captain Siki Akono said to be named new coach of the Black Stars. Also, Messi Tego has been reappointed as Black Queens coach, plus a host of other appointments made by the Ghana Football Association.
And later on flip side,
it's not that we don't like human beings, but when it comes to corruption, they say,
Suronipa Vice President Bawumia borrows the popular term as he fights corruption with digitization. That's all coming up here in tonight's edition of News Night. Please join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp. It's 0244 340 437. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Mensah. And we start tonight with details, fresh details emerging, detailing the circumstances that led to the final revocation of the licenses of some of the fund management companies, particularly the Gold Coast Securities, which has become pretty much very controversial. We have secured a document from the Finance Ministry that directs the Securities and Exchange Commission to go ahead and revoke the licenses of some of these fund management companies, and the reasons given in that letter is what is raising a few eyebrows tonight. Emefa, you have a copy of this. When was this letter written?
So this letter was written on the 23rd of May 2018, signed by the Chief Director, Patrick Nomo, and it's directed to the Director General, Securities and Exchange Commission, and it's captioned Reforms in the Securities Market. If you may, I can go ahead and give you the details. It says, this is kindly to remind you of your mandate under Securities Industry Act 929 to protect investors, maintain surveillance, monitor solvency, and above all, protect the integrity of the capital market. However, the current situation facing some specified fund management companies in the country having been directed several times to protect customers and investors' interests calls for a concern. It is against this backdrop that you are hereby directed to revoke the licenses of those companies, particularly Gold Coast Fund Management Limited, that have failed to return clients' funds which remain locked up. And it goes on to say this will let the public, especially customers, clients and investors of those fund management companies, have confidence in the government and also prevent any impending demonstration that will make the government unpopular. We should all be reminded that next year is an election year, and for that matter, we must not give room for any unnecessary agitations by customers of these companies, as it happened to the DKM and others. I should be grateful if you could take requisite action on the decision by the ministry.
And who signed this?
And this is signed by the Chief Director for them on behalf of the Minister. He's Patrick Nomo.
And it was copied to a few institutions and individuals?
It was copied to the Chief of Staff, the Secretary to the President, Secretary to the Vice President, Secretary to the Senior Minister, Chairperson, Cabinet Committee on Economic Matters.
And it's properly detailed, confidential.
Yes.
A few timelines to indicate. So this was written in May, but we know that the SEC eventually took the step to revoke the licenses of the fund management companies. Specifically, this document that we have, the revocation, the directive went in on the 24th of May. But it was in November that the SEC eventually decided to revoke the licenses that became very public. When they did so, they revoked the licenses of 53 investment companies.
Okay.
It is instructive to know that in this letter that we've secured, a particular mention is made of the
Gold Coast Fund Management Limited.
Yes. But when the SEC did this action in November, they revoked the licenses of 53 investment companies. Now, SEC gave its own official explanation in their statement that they issued at that time. And they said the revocation of the licenses was to protect the integrity of the securities market and investors. So that was the official reason given by the SEC. Is there anything similar in this particular?
So the
letter
first
as well?
part also states that the action is to protect investors, maintain surveillance, monitor solvency, and above all, protect the integrity of the capital markets.
Okay, so this is, I guess, a statement of fact from its functions, which again was what the SEC did. In fact, if you read the SEC boss's own statements, then it says these firms fail to inform clients about the risks that they are taking. They also fail to notify the commission about their dealing. So that's the SEC official statement explaining the decision that it took to revoke licenses. But what is raising eyebrows in this letter is what the author of this letter seek to do in terms of references to the elections and a reference directly, particularly to the Gold Coast, fund management. And you know that Dr. Papoku Sindum had been fighting this matter. They are claiming that they had been targeted politically, on this particular
and
subject.
they are specifically mentioned in this letter that is directed to SEC to take action on his company.
The Finance Committee is taking an interest in this. We can bring in Mr. Isaac Adongo, who is a member of the Finance Committee. He joins us on the telephone line right now. Thank you, sir, for your time. What's your reaction to this?
Well, thank you very much, Evans, and good evening to your listeners. I think this particular letter only goes to confirm the suspicion that we have articulated over the time, that actually what they call the reforms in the financial sector was nothing more than an attempt to achieve three ends. One was to target entities owned by political enemies, and two, to prop up Data Bank, which is a direct beneficiary of all that is happening within the SEC-regulated environment, and three, to ensure that certain people, particularly the finance minister, who had the objective of trying to malign almost everybody in the industry and to engage in some level of insider activity to achieve its end. Now,
on your last 2 points, though, there isn't any evidence, is there?
I will explain that to you. Before the challenges of the securities market emerged, particularly in May 2018, the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, who was a senior person at Data Bank, Vice President at Data Bank before
he was appointed to this office, issued a letter to all SEC-regulated entities to go and wind down their investment and bring every money they have collected from people immediately. And they should do that in 6 months. We all know that you cannot bring a financial sector to a standstill in order to clean it up. So what it simply meant was that everybody was running around for money, and after some time, there was a serious liquidity crisis. But before that letter could be issued, Data Bank had gone around collecting all its money as if they knew that this directive was going to occur. How did Data Bank know that such a major industry collapsing directive was going to be given? So the only entity that was not affected by this directive, because they already had their money, was Data Bank. Everybody else was caught in the ensuing liquidity crisis. Now, after that has happened, the Bank of Ghana, anytime it closed down financial institutions such as banks, automatically created a systemic panic and a panic withdrawal that hit these entities. These entities had their monies locked up in GCB, particularly for UT and Capital Bank closure. The other 5 banks that were taken by CBG, now 7, also had their monies locked up. And the Bank of Ghana and the Securities and Exchange Commission, the Ministry of Finance, did not do anything to ensure that these entities got their money. On top of that, a major entity such as Gold Coast Fund Management Company had close to 2 billion of money that it had given to contractors, which had executed government projects, which kind of Orata refused to pay. So in issuing this letter, what kind of and the Minister of Finance should have been interested would have been to say, can you get GCB to release all the money that are locked up for these entities that are struggling to pay their customers, so that they can have their money and pay their customers and bring back confidence in the sector. That was not the option.
But that was one option. But that was one option. However, the other option is it's become untenable.
There are several other options.
But the other option they took simply was that it's untenable to continue to help the fund because it's just not working.
So their focus was not to save these entities, but to bring them to an end. And
because they were unsavable, were they not?
No, the letter is very clear that the focus was not to identify how we can assist them to get their money, so they can pay their clients and bring the confidence that he's talking about and bring the stability and the surveillance that was being required. That was not the focus. The focus was let's collapse them, particularly Gold Coast. And you recall that when GM Bank was taken, the letter that Kenoforata wrote to Cabinet was very emphatic that they cannot allow Dr. Ingram to run that business because he's a political competitor. And the state has decided to spend senselessly over 15.6 billion on fighting political.
I haven't seen that document, and so I don't put too much value on that because
I can give that letter.
As of now, I haven't seen it. I mean, so I appreciate it if you, because I haven't verified.
I can make that available. I can make that available to you.
Yes, and
but
so
the Minister of Finance,
we shouldn't go.
I can make that letter available to you. But the Minister
because
of
I haven't
Finance,
seen it, and it's a very sensitive accusation you're making. Because I haven't seen it.
If you haven't seen it, we can do with it another time. But for the Ministry of Finance to direct a constitutional body that is supposed to be independent in the regulation of the financial sector, particularly when the Minister of Finance himself is a player in that industry. He is not just a player because he's the Minister of Finance, but he's a player because he is the owner of Data Bank, which plays in the same securities industry. He is a player because he is the owner of the enterprise group, which is regulated by the same sex. And so, Ken Oforiatta cannot take action devoid of his own business interest. For him to have decided that he needed to now take over the mantle of SEC and direct and force SEC to liquidate companies that were in existence, that is a smack of serious credibility crisis.
However, Mr. Dongo, a final question on this. The state and the finance ministry acts in the interest of the state, and of course they have the power to do so. If the securities, the fund management companies were indeed in distress, as we've seen, Wasn't it the prudent thing to do as the finance ministry to act to save everybody else and this economy of ours, and that because it's a finance ministry and had a private business before, that should disqualify him from taking an action such as he did in directing that action is taken by the SEC?
In any case, the SEC has a board, and the SEC board is the highest governance structure within the framework of the independence of the SEC as a regulatory body. SEC has a plethora of data before it to take decisions. What is the level of information that the Ministry of Finance has in relation to the industry that makes them think that they are in a better position to take the decisions on behalf of the people who are mandated and clothed with the power and the resources and the data to take the appropriate decisions in the interest of Ghanaians? As it were, the decision was taken by somebody who was sitting as a minister and had no clue what was happening at the sector. And I'm saying that if he was minded, he would have known that a lot of money was locked up at DCB. He would have known that a lot of money was locked up at CBG. He would have known that his own ministry was sitting on close to 2 billion Ghana cedis of that sector's money. And if all these monies were pumped into the system, these entities would have survived and the taxpayer would not have been called upon to pay a dime.
I'm grateful, Mr. Adongo, and definitely this is a document that had just surfaced. You can see there are many angles to this that we will follow. Ezek Adongo is a member of the Finance Committee. We will still, of course, clearly have to get clarity from the Finance Ministry why this letter was written in May, where the directive as was contained in there, and what the SEC do with it when they received it, because of the gap in the timelines between May and November when they finally decided to take action. Still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. Share your thoughts with us on our WhatsApp console. We'll shortly share your views with the rest of the world, Emefa.
Remember, Newsnight is brought to you by Puma Card from Puma Energy, cash-free convenience. And as government exhibits its achievements at the Results Fair, Monitoring and Evaluation Minister Dr. Anthony Akotose has conceded that government's flagship program, One District, One Factory, is impossible to achieve in 4 years. Here are excerpts of a yet-to-be-aired interview on PM Express tonight on the Joy News channel on Multi TV.
But it's not every province that public expects that will complete in 4 years. There's no way you can complete every factory in one constituency in 4 years.
That is deceiving the public.
No, we did not deceive the public.
You made a categorical promise
based
on which we gave you a mandate.
We said we'll
3 years in, if you say...
We said we'll produce a factory in every constituency.
Yes.
We did not say within 4 years.
No,
There's
you
no
said
way.
within 4 years.
Go and check.
You said the president was clear with that
we are going
in my first term.
Where did the president say
on
that?
many platforms.
I'm talking about the one district, one factory.
Yes.
Yes, because
but you have a first term. You only have a constitutional mandate for 4 years.
Yes.
So when you say one district, one factory, constitutionally, you have 4 years to deliver that.
Yes.
So you can't say that you didn't say 4 years.
Constitutionally, we have no. But I'm saying that we said one district, one factory.
Yes, you have to deliver that in 4 years.
We didn't say how many we can complete in 4 years.
No, you said
we didn't judge ourselves.
No, you said one district, one factory means one
that
district, one factory
that
in
is
4 years.
Objective. Doesn't mean that we can complete all of it. It's objective. Have you ever set targets for yourself?
Dr. Anthony Akotose, you are an astute politician.
Yes.
When you start campaigning in 2016,
yes,
you knew you have 4 years.
Yes.
So whatever you were promising to do for us, you are promising us to deliver within the 4 years that the Constitution
gives you. That is what we hope we will do.
So when you say you deliver one district, one factory, it is as simple as that.
No, it's not as simple as that.
It is in the name.
No,
one district, one factory.
Yes,
in 4 years.
We expect that in 4 years we could complete one district, one factory.
Yes.
If we don't complete it, we should not be embarrassed because we know that the process of completing it is tough. You set high targets. It doesn't mean that you achieve all of them, and you should not be embarrassed. The question that you should ask is, how far have we got?
We'll come to that. But I need to ask the question based on what you've just said, because this is important. We are 11 months to an election. Based on what you just said, and the interest of what you just said about, don't be embarrassed. Would you look into the eyes of the Ghanaian public who expected you to deliver all 254 factories in every district tell them that
I don't think you can speak for Ghanaians.
We cannot.
No, please. And I don't think you can speak for Ghanaians and say categorically that they all expected that there'll be 275 factories in all constituencies. I don't don't think you will fetch yourself. No, but I'm saying that I don't think you yourself, you believe that could be done.
But that is...
So the Ghanaians
so when you were saying you didn't believe it could be done.
No. Ghanaians are going to ask, so those factories, how many have you done? Then you say, look, this is how many we've done, the rest, this is the process. And let them judge it. So, but don't make the judgment for them.
Can you deliver one factory in every district?
Oh,
before December 7, 2020?
I don't know. From what the minister said, I don't believe that all 275 will be ready. Because keep in mind, it's not the government producing the factory. It's the private sector, and you cannot force the private sector to produce a factory. You can only facilitate. If you look at the two, then it's not possible to say that you can deliver, because it's not upon you. You are facilitating. Look, as I speak, about 2 months ago, there were 150 constituencies for which we have not found sponsors. Now, how can the government promise that if you have 150, they can force 150 people to build their factories? It's not possible. So you look at every promise and you look at the process of getting there. In certain cases, you have control. If the Ministry of Special Development Initiative says, I will build 100 dams, that one, we have control because it is being implemented by government agencies. One district, one factory, it's not being implemented by government. So there's a difference.
But it is your initiative.
To facilitate the private sector, yes, to build one factory in every constituency. Subject to that, that's what you can do. You can't force the private sector.
Would you say, 3 years on hindsight, than the heat of the 2016 campaign?
No, at all. Because
the way it was couched. And I know you are a sincere politician,
I don't think
the way it was couched, one district, one factory.
I don't think we took time enough to explain to people what it was involved. I think later on, people have understood it better. For example, people thought that one district, one factory means one new factory per new district.
Yes.
No, that was never the case.
But whose fault is that?
That's
your fault as a politician.
It's not the fault.
You deceived the public.
No, it's not a matter of deceit. It's
deliberately.
It's not communicating.
You wanted their votes.
Why would we deliberately confuse the public? No.
But now you are explaining.
No.
But you could have done it then.
I'm saying it's a matter of not communicating well.
Deliberately, I suggest to you.
No, I don't think so.
Because there was an election to win.
I think you are being disingenuous if you use the word deliberately. No person in government will deliberately lie for that purpose. It doesn't help.
No, then you were in opposition.
No. Even in opposition, you don't lie. You talk about what you are capable of doing. I'm saying we did not take our time to communicate the full details. Because, as I said, even today, most people still did not know that it includes all factories, even up to 3 years later. So we have not communicated well. Part of the reason we are doing this is to be able to communicate. I was sitting down talking to the vice president that, look, Mr. Vice, all this we have done, most people don't know. This is a part of the reason we are doing the results fair. Even we ourselves, we don't know all that our colleagues have done. And it is not deliberately concealing information. It's the way we do things.
And that is the Minister responsible for monitoring and evaluation, Dr. Anthony Akotose, in a full interview tonight on PM Express at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel. The results fair, though, Emefa, was an opportunity to showcase and exhibit government's achievement in key sectors, particularly with their flagship programs. One district, one factory, which you just heard Dr. Anthony Akotose talk about. The railway sector, what they've done with the National Identification Authority, and all of them had booths that were displaying what they've done. So a lot of them had done documentaries, had documents, and people were coming around to ask questions about the various achievements and what it means for people. The president himself and the vice were both there. My colleague Elton Brobe was with the president, and the president himself did rounds looking at some of the, I guess, things on display. Elton, what was the president's own view of what he saw today?
Well, even for the president, 3 years of an assumption of office, he was quite clear in his mind that they've done well, and for that reason, they deserve another term to continue with what they want to do. Indeed, he started his speech by touching on the economy, the one they inherited, and in his own words, they inherited an economy that was close to collapse. And what they've done in the last few years is pointing the various indicators in the right direction. And he spoke about inflation, which is now 7.9. He spoke about the fact that they've managed to reduce interest rates, which is ensuring that businesses can now access loans and put it back into their business. He spoke about unemployment and the fact that according to the Ghana Living Standard Survey conducted last year, unemployment has reduced from 11.9% to 7.3% as at the end of 2019. And for him, it is a plus because he looks at unemployment as a major threat to the security of the nation and also the government attainment of the targets under the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. They've employed about 350,000 people into the public sector, and they are on it. So for him, they've done well. They've paid the NHIS arrears, and talking about the issue that you had with the Minister for Evaluation, they've so far constructed over 50 factories in various districts, and some are still ongoing. And it's instructive to know that this particular results fair is under the auspices of the Ministry of Monitoring and Evaluation. So basically what they've done is what they are putting out there for people to see. And from what the information minister said, in the coming days, they only take sector by sector and then look at what they've done so far. But for the president, he is more than convinced that they've done well to deserve another term.
I don't know if you were with him when he went round to look at what was on exhibition.
Exactly, Evans. And this is what the various ministries and agencies and the government they've done and they are displaying. And he was quite impressed. Indeed, from what we've been told, the details of what was exhibited at the ground had already been communicated to them, so they had a fair idea what they were working into. And for the next few days, that's what they want to showcase to Ghanaians.
Thank you very much, Elting. If I can listen to the president speaking at the results fair today, making a strong case why he believes he deserves 4 more years, as he says the evidence is now on display at the conference center.
The One Village, One Dam program, and the Zongo Development Fund and the Infrastructure for Poverty Eradication program are help being pursued to stimulate job creation opportunities across the country. We have embraced the application of digital technology in the delivery of public services, like the paperless system at the ports, the mobile interoperability system, and the National Digital Addressing Property System. The theme of the fair, delivering results to our citizens, a work in progress, demonstrates our appreciation of the fact that a lot more needs to be done to achieve the Ghana that we want. It is also an indication of our resolve to secure a better future for all Ghanaians. Although a lot has been achieved over the past 3 years, there's still more work to be done to transform our country. Having achieved all these significant milestones, even in the midst of the difficulties we met, I'm hopeful that the Ghanaian people will reward my party with another resounding victory in 2020. We will not be complacent, and we will work hard for victory, regardless of the fact that one good term deserves another. We need 4 more to do more, and especially 4 more for Nana.
So before the president went to the results fair at the Accra International Conference Center, he was at the New Year's school, and he states that Ghana's unemployment level is at an all-time low at 7%, and quoting that the Ghana Living Standard Survey report covering 2019. Now, for him, the figure reflects work done by his government to reduce employment, which he considers a threat to national security and attainment of the Ghana Beyond Aid agenda. Listen to him address the 7th annual New Year's school at the University of Ghana.
Tens and tens of thousands of health workers who had graduated between 2012 and 2016 and were sitting at home twiddling their thumbs, numbering 54,892, have been employed, and 66,357 teachers have been employed since I came into office in 2017. Moving Ghana Beyond Aid means that we take effective measures to address widespread unemployment, especially amongst our youth. We are on the right path to do so. Public sector employment has increased by 350,000, and additional employment in the private, formal, and agricultural sectors amounted to nearly 2 million, with 1.6 million in the agricultural sector and 268,000 in the formal sector. The Ghana Living Standard Survey tells us that unemployment has fallen from 11.9% in 2015 to 7.3% in 2019. Getting our country to a situation beyond aid means we add value to our raw materials and stop the export of products such as cocoa, gold, bauxite, manganese, and oil in their raw form. It is not a pie in the sky notion, because other countries, including our peers and independents, have done exactly that. It is doable, and we must believe that what others with less resources have done, we can do.
And that is the president speaking today at the New Year School. And a few of your comments coming through on our WhatsApp console now, Emefa.
And there's one from Righteous and Abutia Kope and Keta. He says, when would Honorable Adongo stop political economics and start talking real economic issues? He should give us a break, he says. And then this one from Iswobaya in Ata in Kaswa. He says, the state should not spare anyone who has a hand in the collapse of these banks. The law should not be a fishing net that catches only small fishes. The law should sweep anyone who is culpable, no matter their status or tribe. And this one from Akuma Ebenezer in Kumasi says, I still don't understand why these regulatory bodies will sit down without supervising the financial sector, but only come to revoke their licenses. Their action has caused more harm than good to we the youth in the country. Kwamina Kutuka in Atimpoku says, why is the government killing local investment and encouraging foreign ones? I think we have reached a point where the government must be told in the face that what is happening is not the best. Shiftman Atonsu in Kumasi says, I'm very happy that government has started prosecuting all those whose actions and inactions caused those financial institutions to go insolvent and close down. I can only pray that customers who suffered in these banking reforms shall be paid their dues soon. And this final one from Kwame Abuaji in Cape Coast says, God bless Nanado for ensuring that we, the customers of the defunct banks, did not lose our deposits, and we support the government to prosecute the owners who mismanage our resources. Keep your comments coming in via WhatsApp is 0244 340 437.
George Yafe is here with details from the world of business. Hello, George. What do you have in the headlines?
Hi, Evans. And coming up in business, economist Professor Apawu charges ECOWAS central bank governors to tread cautiously over the possible introduction of the single currency, the ECO. And Evans also explored the impact of this move to prosecute founders of these two defunct banks for the entire banking industry. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
But it's not like I'm nosy or go out to find out the latest filler. It's just that I get 50 megabytes of data free after paying for only the first minute of every call. And so I just keep discovering stuff minute after minute. That's how come I was minding my business, scrolling through my timeline, and I found out Coco has a new baby. Oh, and last week I learned Ken won the lottery. You see, Ken is my brother's friend. So hello, look who's about to roll with the rich and famous.
Enjoy even more value with MTN Free After One. You only pay for the first minute of your call on MTN Free After One, and the rest is free. Plus, you enjoy free 50 megabytes worth of data to browse your favorite sites. Compare where, compare there. So dial *315# to sign up. We day for you everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply.
Mr. Barr has big dreams for his business, Barr & Co. Limited, and his family, making them a reality meant long drives and queues. He's lost precious time struggling to pay his suppliers in China, Turkey, India, and other parts of the world. With the First National Bank global payment via our online banking enterprise, he now pays for all that in the convenience of his home or office, giving him time to focus on family and growing his business. Use our online banking enterprise to access Forex when you need it. It takes a bank that does more to help your family. So who's helping yours? First National Bank. How can we help you?
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
To business on Newsnight. Now, economist Professor Bob Boateng has charged the central bank governors in the West African region to tread cautiously over the planned introduction of a single common currency, the ECU. The governors have begun a 3-day meeting in Abuja, Nigeria, to explore the region's preparedness for the introduction of the currency. But speaking to Joy Business, Professor Bob Boateng argues that the bank's governors should be resolute and not to bow to political pressure, whilst ensuring that the environment is actually ready for this currency.
Integration is very important. Common currency will help us. If we are one block as West African country, it is the best. It means that we have a voice. The global economy, we can also say because if we are just different countries, it becomes a problem. But it doesn't mean that we just have to just bring us by force together when the fundamentals have not been laid out. So we have to hasten slowly, get the fundamentals right, and then when we come together, we will not disintegrate. You are able to get a country to be complex if that country has the capability to be able to produce commodities that is not commonly produced by other countries. That makes that country more distinct from other countries.
Professor Bob Boateng is head of economics at the University of Ghana. That is the Economic Department at the University of Ghana. Let's return or look at another story that is running and moves to actually prosecute founders of the two defunct banks. May come with some mixed signals for industry players. And the receiver, together with the state today, began a series of processes to prosecute the chief executives of the defunct UT and Beige Bank.
Now, the concern has been restoring full confidence in the financial sector. A lot of your experts you've spoken to were concerned that deterrence is key. So the customers begin to see that action is being taken against those they perceive to have been responsible. Then that goes to boosting confidence.
Yeah.
What's your own assessment of the action that has been taken today, the individuals involved, and its impact on confidence in the
you're right on the bit about the confidence, bringing about some confidence in the industry, because some are saying that, listen, if the Bank of Ghana claims that they are cleaning up the sector, then why do we still have owners who are believed to have contributed to this crisis still walking around? And therefore, something has to be done. These are guys that are being taken to court. These guys have their lawyers. Now, if Bank of Ghana really has a case against these individuals, take them to court and at least take the processes or begin the processes to actually ensure that they are brought to book. So for some people who are worried about this and question the regulators' resolution, actually their attempt to actually bring some sanity in the industry, they will say that this is good. But there are some also saying that, listen, are these the only individuals whose banks were affected? There are other bank directors or bank board members who have also contributed to this challenge, and why also not going after them? So it has been mixed. Some of them support the Bank of Ghana, the receiver, the state for this action. Anyone who is said to have contributed to this, go after that person. But also we should ensure that if we go after these persons, they'll also go after others who might have contributed to this current crisis that we are facing. Let's move on to other stories. And the Bank of Ghana opened its first forward sale of dollars today by securing some significant interest from investors. The central bank today sold about $40 million to investors and dealers, but that's actually the amount of money that they were willing to sell. We have details of this first auction that was closed today by the central bank.
The $40 million that the Bank of Ghana sold today was a little lower than the market players were requesting. This is because investors and dealers that participated in today's offer were $88 million. However, they just got $40 million. Now, look at the specific auctions. Well, investors that were looking for $45 million over 7 days supplies. But the Bank of Ghana decided to sell $10.5 million to these dealers. Compared to last year, The central bank appears to have increased the amount of dollars it is willing to sell to dealers. Some have argued that it might have been influenced by the expected pressure on the Ghana cedi in the first quarter of this year. The regulator is planning to sell about $715 million through forward sales of forex for this year. The central bank believes that this move would help reduce the pressure on the spot market and help meet the need of businesses that actually don't need the dollars right now, but for future transactions. Many are looking forward to see how the Bank of Ghana would manage and handle the expected pressure on the local currency for the first 3 months of 2020.
And that is a business desk report. Let's look at other stories. The National Petroleum Authority has launched an electronic cargo tracking system in the National Command Center to deal with the upsurge in disruptions in the delivery of petroleum products in the country. Checks at the National Petroleum Authority shows that Ghana loses about 200 million Ghana cedis to illegal operations regarding the transportation of fuel. There is more in this report.
After years of concerns over the failure of the National Petroleum Commission, NPC, to deal with the conversion of petroleum by some drivers of bulk road vehicles to approved routes, the launch of the electronic cargo tracking system and the National Command Center are to track all BLVs. Here is Hassan Tampoli, CEO of the NPA.
Some transport service providers exploited the lack of capacity of the NPA to independently confirm the delivery of petroleum products to retail outlets, and thus subjected the UPPF fund to abuse. Indeed, it was common then for service providers to present freight claims for delivery of petroleum products to distant locations in the northern parts of the country, especially when in actual facts the products were delivered here in Accra.
Deputy Energy Minister Amin Adam decried the increase in illegal pricing in the downstream sector. He has called for some diversification when it comes to the transportation of fuel.
Some recalcitrant providers have looked beyond reducing their margins to compete on price and are rather creating avenues to cheat the petroleum tax system. And dealing in petroleum products are quite outside of the authorized and legal value chain.
Meanwhile, the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has hinted of further digitizing premixed fuel to check wastage and illegal smuggling.
We are going to use technology, we are going to use digitization and you find increase efficiency and fight corruption. Once you get payments in the form of electronic payments, you are able to curb a lot of corruption.
The National Command Center is expected to take care of all retail outlets across the country.
And that's Charles IT's report. To the stock market, Enterprise Group was up by 23 pesos to close at 1 Ghana cedis 88 pesos. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George Riafi, for the latest. And by close of day today, CID boss Mami Tiwa Adudankwa will no longer be holding that post. It's her final day today as she prepares to bow out of office after she was reassigned as Director General in charge of welfare at the Ghana Police Service. Of course, her reassignment did not come to many as a surprise, particularly because of calls by sections of the public for her dismissal following her handling of the missing Takrady girls last year. Listen to Mami Tiwa on what she makes of her reassignment.
Being at the CID, I didn't actually make conscious effort to do better. I thought I was doing my job. And even doing my job in the ordinary course of life has touched so much many lives, especially policemen. If I have the opportunity to correct something, what I would have done is our communication to the public through the media. Sometimes we keep a lot of things to ourselves. We don't share. So in the absence of accurate information, the media will fill the gap with rumors. They will say whatever that they think. So if there's anything that would have done better, it is our communication to the media. Something happens and we should come out and tell the public through the media what it is.
What would you say about your tenure?
Actually, if you had asked me this question on the 2nd, I would have said I don't know. But from the day that the transfer came till today, I am amazed the acceptance that I had in the Ghana Police Service and even the media that I thought didn't like me.
Do you think that you being moved to the other office has anything to do with the missing Takrady girls, the controversy surrounding that?
Inspector General of Police has, from time to time, will have to make changes. He does not need to give any reason why one officer is moving from one. Of course, where I'm going was even headed by a senior commissioner. So I don't know, but he doesn't need to offer any explanation.
Well, she's been highlighting some of her achievements and her preparedness and some of her regrets as well as CID boss.
In fact, I don't have the luxury to disappoint anybody at all, because they expect so much from me, and I'm not going to disappoint them.
Do you think you left the CID better?
In fact, I'll be the wrong person to answer this question. Maybe when you get to the CID, ask the officers, and they will tell you whether I left it better or. But one thing that I did was that with the support of NLA, the CID got elevator that made it possible for disabled people, those who were not able to climb to the top of the CID to access our services, was done for us by the NLA. And unfortunately, it was commissioned on my 50th birthday. And I'm so proud of myself. In actual fact, I'm walking out of the CID with my chest out. And at the end of the day, when you are living and people are crying as if you are dead, it means they expect highly of you. And that's, I am happy. I'm going to another level. I'm going to get more experience, and I'm going to use the knowledge that I've acquired here, maybe to enhance the police service. And what is important to me is that it is my hope that we can serve the good people of Ghana better.
And I must say that we'll miss her.
Definitely.
And something else I know that she was also very instrumental in doing is enhancing police training. If you speak to those at University of Cape Coast Forensic Training School, they will tell you how instrumental she was in enhancing the training for police forensic investigators, for example, improving the contact hours, enhancement in skills, etc., and investment she made in that particular field. Those who teach there celebrate her for that work that she did. You are a good friend of hers as well.
Yes, very good friend, and I'll definitely miss her. And she's going to be Director General in charge of welfare at the Ghana Police Service.
Yeah.
We wish her
we
well.
wish her well in that.
We definitely
Let's do sports now. And Benedict, who has been harassing you all through.
She has been harassing me all. She has been harassing me. I've been harassing her.
Sports. Benedict, what do you have in the headlines? You finally have the airtime now to do your sports.
Yes, of course. And we're going to have a new coach for the Black Stars. That's going to be CK Akono. The name trending. Yes, CK Akono, former Asante Kotoko coach, former Black Stars captain, former coach of Dreams FC, former coach of 11 Wise, former Accra Hearts-of-Oak coach. Well, I've been speaking to my colleague Gary Alsmith on why CK Akono.
I think the fact that he has managed traditional clubs in this country suggests that he can deal with pressure. And with the Black Stars, that is half of the job done. He's managed 11 Wise, Hearts-of-Oak, Asante Kotoko, Ashgold, 4 big traditional clubs in their own right. Secondly, I think that CK seems to be a man of his own, and in the last 4 years or so, he's been one of the biggest qualities that we've needed in the Black Stars. Looking at the sorts of players that we have and the powerful media that we have here. So I think that, with the fact that we knew that the job was going to a Ghanaian, I'd rather give it to him than anybody else.
All right, so
wish him well.
Yeah, of course. And other appointments made by the Football Association in terms of the technical direction of our national teams. Madam Mercy Kwakutego has been reappointed as Black Queens coach. Yusuf Basigi is the head of the national under-20 female team, that's the Black Princesses. And then Babanuhu Malam is the head coach of the national under-17 female team, that's the Black Maidens. Madam Joyce Boate Ajay as the head coach of the national under-15 female team. And then Abdul Karim Zito, head coach of the Black Satellites. He will be assisted by Augustine Evans Adote, and then Salifu Fatao Pakwisi Fabian is head coach of the under-23 team, and he will be assisted by Akapo Patron and Ben O as goalkeepers trainer. Instead of appointments, and the FA has appointed a 5-man national teams review committee chaired by the vice president, that's Mr. Marcado, and the committee has been given a 3-month mandate, and they are tasked to present a paper on the structure, membership and function of the technical teams of all national teams. And aside its other functions, the committee will also make recommendations on payments to be made to the management committees of all national teams and prepare a code of conduct for players, technical teams and management committee members for for all the national teams. Sister Akujo Fiano is a vice chairman of that committee, and then Habiba Ataforsen, Professor Joseph Minta, as well as Linford Asamoah are the members on that committee, and that's your sports.
Sound of a family member wailing after hearing news of the death of a relative who was among scores crashed to death in an early morning accident. The death toll is now 34 in the Dompoasi accident, which happened this dawn on the Elmina Commander Road following a head-on collision between two Yutong buses. Dozens of victims are also battling for their lives at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. Richard Kojonyako has more.
Some relatives break down uncontrollably upon finding out that their sisters, brothers, children are among the 34 persons who got killed Tuesday dawn. It's a day they might never ever forget in their lives. Hajia sprawls on the ground here at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. She narrates she and her sister both live at Takrady, and her sister, who was also killed in the accident, had 4 children.
Accident scene na fire service for no police for what's where you body sitting in Abba.
She says her sister bade her goodbye to transact business in Accra and will return same day. In the morning, the children came to her saying their mom did not return. That was awkwardly strange.
There lies my sister. Oh, Aji Hadija. Nukunoho.
According to her, she's been dealt a heavy blow. Memunatu has been brandishing her phone that has the picture of her sister and pacing up and down the mortuary of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. She needs her sister back. Another heartbreaking story that was told us by the hospital officials was that of a 6-year-old girl who gained consciousness at the hospital and was looking around for parents. She might have been traveling with the parents in the same bus, they remarked.
I was on board a vehicle from Takrady to Accra. When we got to this sharp curve, the oncoming vehicle did overtaking, and then our driver tried swerving him, but rather he drove into our direction and then hit him. So, that's what happened.
How many people were in your bus?
54 to be precise.
And where are they now? Do you know where they?
Most of them have been taken to the hospital.
But were there people you saw dead in the vehicle that you were traveling on?
Both vehicles. I was part of those who I started with the rescue, and I called National Fire Service and then the police service. Came and met me trying to save lives before they even came in.
What would you blame this accident?
Street lights is one, and the other side is, driving. You don't overtake in a curve. Knowing willfully well that you are approaching a curve, you are not supposed to overtake. Myself, I'm a driver.
The Elmina District Police Commander Superintendent Samuel Ntiana, who has been at the scene of the accident since dawn, gives an account of what he believes happened and the operations carried out thereafter.
It's a road accident involving 2 passenger buses.
What really happened?
And the letter we gathered was they had a head-on collision at this very spot around 12:15 a.m. today.
They give you details of how it happened, who was doing what and all of that?
We gathered one was overtaken, the red one. The one lying just behind was overtaken. And unfortunately this one, the white one, also emerged or appeared from Takrady's direction. And they couldn't complete overtaking and they had a head-on collision.
So how many people, can we confirm are dead?
So far, we rescued 29 dead, 13 females and 16 males, together with 1 child of about 1 year.
So these are people we can confirm dead?
Yes, this one I can confirm dead. We rescued them trapped in the vehicle dead.
The National Road Safety Commission struggled to to put the level of their disappointment into words. Acting Regional Director of the Commission, Kojo Bells, could not simply understand why the new year could record such numbers of deaths and injuries.
Yes, we woke up not to a very pleasant news in the central region, and as per the information we are gathering from the police at post, the driver coming from Cape Coast direction towards Takrady was overtaking, and I think it went bad. So the one coming from the western regional side could not control, and they met head-on on the incoming lane of the other vehicle, causing the crash. And the information so far is we have about 29 confirmed dead. The rest have been transported to the Cape Coast Hospital in Taberton. It's not too good a news. We can only hope for the best for those injured, and the numbers are actually not encouraging at all.
How does it feel being the head of the Road Safety Commission? We are starting 2020, and this is what we start with.
Feels like a nightmare. I'm here to wake up from the figures. It's not good. It's a huge responsibility. We are not going to relent. We are still going to educate the drivers on best road use possible. We are not going to relent, like I said. We are hoping this is the worst and it will never happen like this. Even if there's a crash, there shouldn't be any injuries. Not to talk of 29 dead on the spot. We deserve better as a region, we deserve better as a country, and we are only hoping for the best use.
This very spot is an accident-prone area. This is not the first time this thing is happening. I think, there was a break for some time, and now this thing has happened. What do you make of it?
For now, we cannot attribute it to any causative factors, but considering the time of the crash, we can relate it to a bit of bad weather or poor visibility, because as we can see, we don't have any street lighting on the stretch. So for now, we can attribute it to visibility, but of course, investigations are still ongoing. We'll try to find a best solution to this very problem.
PRO of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, Frederick Nyanka, announced 5 more persons had died in addition to the 29 who were brought in dead.
We had 20 male adults, we had 11 female adults. We had 3 children, 2 female and then 1 male. And then we have about 54 at the accident and emergency units, and they are being treated upon. Some with minor injuries, and they have been treated and discharged. Others are in a very critical condition, but they are also being treated upon.
Many more relatives pour in to identify their family members and other relations. The spot where the accident happened has swallowed 42 lives before, and many more lives have been snuffed out there before. The number of people killed in this accident represents the heaviest in recent times. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
And there are lots of messages because of this death. So the president has been tweeting about it. It says, "My sympathies and condolences to all the families and loved ones of the deceased in the horrific accident which occurred earlier today on the Cape Coast Takrady Highway. May their souls rest in peace. I also wish the injured a speedy recovery."
That's it for News Night tonight. And up next is the Geek Squad. They do attempt to cheer you up after that tragic news. Enjoy the rest of your evening. My name is Mensah.
I am Emefa.